My word. Who's tormenting this cactus? Who is tormenting this cactus? Look at this. Somebody's like taking side graphs off of this. This is abomination right here. I want to camp this cactus out and find out who's fucking with it and why they won't let it grow. You know, I just saw another one. So today we're going to be checking out some Bolivian torches in habitat. Wild pictures of Bolivian torches. Not typical ones that are from the Trouts and Notes that we've all seen many times. This is new pictures of wild Bolivian torches. Shout out to the Reddit family, because they're the ones who told me and that you could just look these up on iNaturalist. I love iNaturalist if you haven't used it before. This is an app or a website that you can use to look up wild identification pictures of all sorts of stuff. So primarily I've used this for mushrooms because, you know, we're a mushroom company mostly. And then the cactus is like a passion project that I love. So I didn't even think about this, but somebody pointed this out and I was like, oh, this would be a great video. Let's deep dive and go through some of the things that we want to learn about these guys in habitat. So I got my notes right here, and here's sort of the checklist. We're going to look at seed germination conditions, direct sunlight hours, the soil conditions, the drainage zone, like if it's on a rocky outcliff and it drains really fast, and then the temperature and the time of year that these photos were taken, as well as the condition of the cactus. You know, is it sun beaten? Is it stressing? Or are they thriving always? Let's take a nice deep dive. So, if you like this kind of content, please do leave a thumbs up and comment that you want to see more of this. I do want to do one on each of the normal species. So Bolivian torch is the first one. Then we got Peruvian torch. And then I'll probably end it with Pacanoid, the big one that everybody loves. But me personally, I am a Bridgesii fan. So I wanted to start here. Now you might have heard of this little place in the cactus world called La Paz. So let's take a look at this. We got the topography on this map. So I'm going to full screen the map real quick. And now each one of these dots is where the wild locator is, where somebody has seen a Bolivian torch and taken a picture of it. So you can see we have a nice little region right through this valley right here. They tend to really cut under these valleys, it seems like, with a couple being on top of the mountains. What I want you to pay attention to, though, is the topography goes from the left is all flat and almost like zero elevation. And then we rapidly get into big mountains and big mountain ranges. And as soon as we get into that is where a lot of these guys are growing. If you'll notice, there's not many in the middle of these mountain ranges. I feel like there are cactus in there, and maybe it's just really hard for people to access that. But it's worth noting that a lot of the sightings that we're going to be going over are down here by La Paz. And then we got another couple over here. And if we go to the right, we got another sort of same vibe. We got nice little almost sea level, looks nice and flat at the bases of mountains. And then up in the mountain ranges are where a lot of these cactus are. We got some over here, over here. Let's zoom out and see exactly where we are, because I don't think we're in Bolivia anymore. There we are. All right. So here's Bolivia's border. Looks like we are still in it. Yes. All right. So we are still in Bolivia. It's basically this whole little chunk over here, right? So let's start with the big populations. Here's Peru, where a lot of the Peruvian torches are. You can see this is all a large mountain range continuously going through. And then here's Ecuador. I have some landrace seedlings over there, Pacanoids. I can't wait to get into that on a video. But then it kind of ends right here. So you can see this mountain range is very continuous, and they love it. We have the ocean on the left, and all of those rains and stuff will come from the ocean, I believe. But the mountains will attract water, so they will be getting more water than you would think at the bases of these mountains. Like, it's probably drier over on the left side and then very wet over on the right. We'll look at maybe some Google Maps when that happens. Oops. Let's go out of full screen. All right, so let's look at this. This guy looks like he's in cultivation because of the nice manscaped lawn. This video is not sponsored, by the way. But what I do like is, look, you can see there's more arms in the back going, right? And look at how the growth pattern is. We got a couple of pups down here and lots of fresh pups, but a lot of these arms, what is it? There's got to be like over 20 arms going that are over 6 to 10 feet long. So they really don't grow like that one in the back where there's just 2 arms going. That guy's probably about to throw off a bunch of arms once he gets old. And this looks like multiple stands planted, but the middle one is looking like it's one stand. Now this is in cultivation, I think. So you can see they're probably not doing much. This was taken in October 5th, 2014. So not the best quality picture. We're going to go see if we can find some other ones. Down here is perfect. You can see all the relatives. Now look at this guy. This guy's definitely a Bolivian torch. But I want to look at this one. Here we are. Right in the middle of our mountain range, right? Right by La Paz, a little bit southeast. And look at this overcast that we got going on and all of the buds forming. Let's see when this was taken. November 29th, 2020. So this is the beginning of the wet season for these cactus. And then the wet season is going to last. Let's see here. When is the wet season in Bolivia? November to March. So during November to March, these cactus are going to be experiencing overcast and rain at the same time. I don't know if it matters, but I just always think that it's interesting. I've noticed my cactus soak up watering with the hose water better when it's overcast and cloudy like this. And then you can see we're getting bud formations on there. No white buds. Everything is black, typical Bridgesii. You can even see the thorns in there. Keep wanting to point to things, but I can't. I remember you can't see what I'm pointing at. But look at this overcast, and then look at down here. What I'm really starting to notice is, see these guys germinating to the right where my mouse is. We got one germinating right there. We got one germinating right there. I would almost bet that this is how most stands are getting established out here. Look at how tall the grass is. The grass is extremely tall, which will help the humidity dome. So everything's looking like it's gonna stay nice and humid through the plants giving water away, basically through evaporation. I forget what the process is called. I'm not a scientist. I'm just a cactus nut. But the plants will keep the humidity, the dew points, all of that kind of stuff. It'll just kind of attract all the water down there and keep it away from the cactus evaporating until they get into the sunlight. Now, it looks like they'll grow spindly like these guys over here, and then they'll pass up that grass that's usually about 2 feet tall, or these shrubs that's 4. If you've grown these in habitat or in cultivation, you will know that they can grow pretty spindly for a while, especially if they have support like a branch right there to just lean on. So what I'm thinking is these guys are growing to about right here, and then they start thickening up. Now, once it starts thickening up and it starts getting some actual photosynthesis going from all of these arms, it can store enough and do enough to start shooting out what is all the way over here on the left, a basal pup. Now, this basal pup is really how the cactus wants to grow, in my experience and what I'm finding through some of these photos. It's worth noting I haven't done all these photos. I've just seen a couple of these, and then I got excited, wanted to film it. But I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to get basal pups to go. And now every basal pup is probably a lot of these tall arms down here. They probably all started just like this dude over here on the left, just like a basal. It's really cool. You can see some, almost looks like lichen, and you got an arm that died right there. Now notice how it didn't affect the rest of the cactus. That's interesting. We got a rotted arm and a skeleton right there, and we still got a pup coming out the left of it. Very, very resilient cactuses. All right. Now I want to find, I got some notes here of some cool ones. There we go. Look at that, baby. Look at that. What the? So I do get asked this a lot too. And you can see right there, this is a Bolivian torch by the thorns. You can see the light hitting it up there. It looks a little suspect right here, but I do believe that this is a properly identified Bolivian torch. Now you can see the typical outcropping of the rocks that they're coming out of. This looks like, let's go through our list real quick. This looks like a perfect seed germination condition because of that duff layer that it's coming out of. It was probably much thinner when it germinated, to be fair. It's probably built a lot of that duff layer through growing. These are some old growth arms, it looks like, so it's hard to tell how old this cactus is. But the direct sunlight hours, let's look at that. Now we have a hill. So when there's naturally a mountain like this and you got a cactus growing, let's say the pen is the cactus. When the sun comes over, it will be shaded once it goes over that hill. So we're already cutting off a good 4 hours of direct sunlight just being on that hill. I don't know if that's morning or afternoon direct sunlight because it does look pretty scarred up, honestly. But that's worth noting. And then we got on top of it a dappled shade canopy. This is just naturally growing with dappled shade in its own environment with constant overcast during the wet, growy season. So it's really not, I don't think, looking as sun hungry, the Bolivian torch anyway, as I thought initially. I love to see that it does this outside of my garden. I thought I was the only one for a while there that got the weirdest growth like this, and I just kind of let it rock. But apparently, this is what it does. This is normal and wild. I would love to see if buds come off of this. If this guy can flower and reproduce, that would be amazing. Now let's look at the soil composition, right? Lots of big rocks, huge rocks, and then it looks like almost sandy clay. Kind of not like I was expecting. It almost kind of looks like an Arizona mountain, but with a lot more duff layer. And that duff layer up there is going to make a lot more organics in the soil. So the soil, I would venture, is probably about the same composition, looks like as Arizona native soil, where it's a lot of rock. But I bet you the actual soil that's not the rock is probably a lot richer in organics than our native soil would be. Interesting to keep an eye on. Now let's see where we are, because this is for sure a wild one. The drainage zone too, by the way, is extremely high. That is draining and staying wet for maybe 1 to 2 days. There's no way that this thing is pooling water and keeping any water. So it's good to note that if it's raining almost every day, it dries fastly, probably within the same day almost. That's interesting to note. And then the temp and the time of the year. So this is November 10th, 2014. It was submitted in March 2020, but I'm hoping that that's a right date. 2014 looks like an old photo. I think that it doesn't look like it's gotten the most amount of rain, but it's definitely doing its thing. No buds coming off, so it's not quite thriving. The other one was around this time of the year, and it was throwing buds off, so that's worth noting. All right, let's take a look at the next one, and then let's look at the map actually, because this is a cool spot because it's wild. So we have a little population here right in this mountain range, which, to go to my point earlier, if we're in the middle of these two mountain ranges, I would venture that there's Bolivian torches up here in the middle of these ones too, and they're maybe just hard to to locate, but they do grow into the middle of the mountains, and they got a nice large spacing. Let's see, what do we got here? Interesting one. What about Presto? Oh, that's a cool one. Let's click it. All right. Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. All right. So, once again, let's look at the organics. Very dry. Does not look like it's holding on to much water, but it does have like a good duff layer, and if you look at the plants around it, there's got to be a good amount of organics to keep all of this greenery going around, right? Now, this dude looks absolutely stunning and healthy as can be. If we look down there, once again, kind of almost a germination zone of grasses and stuff that's about shrubbery that's about 1 to 2 feet tall. And this is also what I like to mimic in cultivation as root zone like cooling. So if you can get a shade plant over just the root zone of these cactus, they love it. And it's looking like in the wild they kind of just do that automatically, which is really cool. And look at how plump these guys are. Extremely plump cactus. Very, very good. Let's see, when did they take this photo? November 22nd, so the rains have started. You can tell. But, oh, yep, look, we got a couple buds coming in. All right, so November 20th is about when these buds start forming in the wild. Now, the drainage zone is kind of the same. Look, we got a little ravine in here, but it's downhill still. So you know that all the water is not really sitting for long there. It's definitely draining out within a day to two after the rains. And they love to be, it looks like, up against a rock outcropping. This rock outcropping, like I said earlier, is going to provide a microclimate that will shade them for a good, like another 4 hours. So these guys are not just growing in an open field where the sun's just going constantly. They're growing in microclimates on mountains that have a lot of rain and a decent wet season. It's not a desert cactus like you would think, but it's also like look, it's growing almost with these spindly guys. A lot of these shrubs and stuff are still desert adapted plants. They know how to deal with littler water or less water than normal. But this is not a true desert. You can tell this is not a true desert. All right, and then that looks like that was pretty good for him. Where are we at on the map for this fella? Oh yeah, we clicked on the map for him. So we got shallow outcroppings, rock outcroppings everywhere. Oh, this looks like it could be a seed germinator. Oh, it looks like somebody cut this one. This could be in cultivation. Hard to tell. When using iNaturalist, you can submit any cactus that you find. So there's also photos of these in Australia, but that's just not where they grow. Oh, this is a cool one. Oh, look at that. This is a really nice one. Observed April 25th, 2011. So this is after the rainy season has ended. Look at this. So we've got multiple stands all up and down the mountain. I would almost feel like maybe one of them fell and this is all one, but I don't know. This could be a bunch of seeds that just all germinated and this is the perfect zone. Look, there's even one hiding way back there by this tree. See where my plus is? He's hiding deep in the canopy. Now, I want you to notice something. This one right here in the sun, he's not doing any better than this one in the shade either. They're still adapted. They're growing in this sort of canopy that is kind of like my teepoo tree, where it's like taking a lot of the sun actually. It's not trickling through too much of it, but there is trickle. You can see it up here by these guys. They got a zone where they're getting hit right now and then shade up there, right? So it's really seeming like the Bolivians love this dappled shade. I really do like seeing that. I'm gonna definitely start trying to maybe give my Bolivians a little more shade, or when I plant them somewhere, I'm not gonna plant them somewhere that's super, how would you say, it's super sunny, and I'm gonna find somewhere with a nurse plant. But look at this, 2 foot shrubs everywhere. We're on a hill, so the drainage, perfect. They love the hills, and they love these shrubs to help germinate the seeds. That's what I'm starting to realize. Soil conditions, I can't tell anything from that, but you would assume this soil would make a cactus rot. Just by how dense all the shrubs are, and I'm sure there's a huge duff layer under there from all of the dead leaves falling under there, and microbes like fungus and stuff eating it. You would assume that this would be too much for a cactus. That is quite the contrary for the Bolivian torch. It is doing great. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 stands all going in this photo. And then nice up close. Looks almost exactly like my SSO2. That's really cool. And these are old photos, I believe. Yep, 2011 photos. Let's take a look at some of these ones. Oh, flowering pictures. Let's go. Oh, beautiful. All right. So here's something more like I was expecting to see. I was not really expecting to see all of the lushness. I was expecting to see big mountains, and these mountains have large stands of cactus on them, and maybe a little bit of grass and a little bit of other desert adapted plants. Like I don't know if these are yuccas or if those are agave or if that's aloe. I don't think it's aloe because aloe comes from Africa, but they look like agave or something similar to that. Another desert adapted plant. We got tons of buds going off, and I would venture to say these guys are all breeding with each other and producing other little stands. Really cool to see the green too, because the green is going to tell you, it's a little bit of a tip off to where water is staying, right? So all of this over here is dead, but all of this is still green. Now this stuff is still green because it's holding water a little bit better than over here with the dead stuff. You can see it up there, bunch of dead, and then wherever these cactus are, it's green. It's one of the green zones. That's very interesting. You know, you're not seeing them in this dead stuff. You got one coming up over there. You can do it, buddy. You can do it. But mostly, it really is clinging to the green. Beautiful flower picture. These guys they look like thornless Bolivian torches. They do look like Bolivian torches, though, but they look thornless, which is crazy. And then we got some other cactus species living alongside them. Look at that. Oh. I'm telling you guys, this is a really cool tool. Oh, we got good pictures. This was in 2024. April 29th. Wet season has ended. Look at this. We got logs going. The logs are... I wonder if this is one or multiple cactus going. But you can see... I always like to joke. People want to grow these things like a saguaro. And they almost want to get more wide than tall. Like they do not want 1 to 2 arms. Ooh, nice little greenhouse in the back. That's sick. So this must be in cultivation. They must be actively cultivating this. It wants to get wide and thick. And then every wide point that it has, it will put off fresh growth that always looks beautiful and ripe for the taking. I love seeing the little pups coming up. Nice picture. Nice picture. This one is thriving. I wish I could get mine like that. Bet you they don't even do nothing extra, right? They probably just put it in the ground. My word. Who's tormenting this cactus? Who is tormenting this cactus? Look at this. Somebody's like taking side graphs off of this. This is abomination right here. I want to camp this cactus out and find out who's fucking with it and why they won't let it grow. You know, I just saw another one. It wasn't far from him. Oh, that's a cool one. That's cool. You're not the one, though. You're not the one. Another one? Or is there a cactus person just going around beating these up? Look at this. This isn't ripe. This isn't ready for harvest. This is like somebody Somebody's just taking pucks and they're just planting them out there. You know, that one's not too bad. All right, that one maybe looks like somebody. I wonder if that's what they're doing with that other one. Maybe they're just cutting it up and they're planting it everywhere, and somebody just got caught right there. Let's view this one. Ooh, we're going on a streak right now of terrible cactus. Who even posted this and why? This is sad. Oh, look, you got one in the background over there dying too. All right, so if this is anything like you got some lichen grown on it, this is any indication to make you feel better about yourself. You know, sometimes they don't all live. You know, that's just the way she goes. Sometimes it's not up to us. Do a couple more. Beautiful. October 30th, 2011. Oh my gosh. Guys, how come mine aren't looking like this? That's what I want to know. Look, we got some seedlings germinating in the picture. Oh, beautiful. They're doing their thing. It looks like 3 of them germinating, or one that's split into 3. You have side shoots falling and rooting. Makes you wonder, you know, is this whole thing a side? Is this a whole arm, you know, laying like that? Because look, they're popping up off of the arm. You got great shade on the whole base of this thing. All of this base is shaded. It's on a mountain with well draining. Like all the water goes right off of that. Ooh, little cactus over there in the corner. Look at that. And then you got the soil conditions have a good organic duff layer with probably rocks under there. Yet you can see a good amount of rocks to kind of help breathe up the soil. And then we got seed germination conditions. All of this is helping keep the water there so that seeds can germinate. All of this really, really helping everything stay in. This is a really cool picture. And then we got the direct sunlight hours. This dude's probably getting a lot of direct sunlight. I don't think he has an over canopy that's taking too much from him. And then he's also probably getting the shade, the afternoon shade. Just by the way that he's growing, actually, I'd say morning shade, because the way that he cups, I think the sun is rising in the left, setting in the right. But that's just a hunch. But either way, probably taking most of the, like 3 to 4 hours of shade from the outcropping, and then all sun is what this one looks like. And it's loving it. No buds, because we are past flowering season. Oh, we're before flowering season. This is perfect. So this is October. This is before they get their good waterings. And look at it. It doesn't really look too dehydrated to me. Might be a little bud coming in right there, actually. It does look like a bud. Sacred calm cactus. Who's saying that's a macrogonus? That is not a macrogonus. Got Bolivian torch. Yeah. These are Bolivian torches, guys. All right. Where we at here? Oh. Nice grassy field. Half the arms are dead. Lots of buds. Look at all the buds coming out. What time is this? October 27th. Submitted November. I don't know if he's flowering like that in October. Either way, look at the amount of buds coming off this guy. You could tell, I would say this is probably a stress flower. He's probably not got another decade left, unfortunately. Guy just did not look like he was about it. Let's do a couple more. Oh, I wanted to show you guys this one. I remember this one. So here we are again in a mountainous forest. Crazy that there's just sacred cactus growing in it. And look at these arms, man. These arms are coming up well over base canopy. These arms are competing with a tree in terms of height. And nice and thick arms coming off. Everything is, you're never seeing the base of these plants. They just seem to really like that. They're still kind of on a mountain, but this spot looks maybe, it's hard to tell, looks maybe a little more wet. Maybe not quite as well draining or as slopey. The incline isn't as much of an a degree. I don't know what I'm saying. Seed germination, freaking great. Everything about these guys are great. I'm curious, you guys should leave in the comments what you've picked up from this. Let's see what the There's not really a lot of these pictures too have a good amount of sun in the top. If you're looking, lots of sun, lots of over canopy. These guys are just trucking through. They don't give a fuck. Look, lots of dead arms just falling off. It just kills dead arms constantly. That's why they're probably growing so fast, because it knows half of its arms are just gonna die. And there, right down the middle of Bolivia. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of this. What you guys have. I think this crazy one's my favorite so far. What you guys have been little prickly pear. What you guys have been picking up on. There's a lot of similarities in a lot of these photos. Lots of rocks and lots of over canopy and cactus just kind of trucking through whatever environment they're being thrown into. So I would say if I had to give my takeaways on this, it would be you don't need to baby them quite as much. You can be content if they just look kind of ugly like this, These kinds of cactus would make somebody in cultivation think that they're doing bad and think that you're just not growing the cactus right. When in all actuality, the cactus is just doing exactly what it would be doing in nature. Lots of scarring on a lot of these cactus. Nothing is flawless like that. And, oh yeah, let's do this one. Look at that. Nice V notches. It would be really cool to go to one of these places. I was looking up some of these towns, and they got ichocas around here. They got a lot of like, they had a town that was called San Pedro. They have a lot of really cool stuff that would make for a really, really nice visit one day. So yeah, I'll leave you guys with that. Here's the last kind of one that I'll show you. Ooh, this looks like a monstrous. This is a monstrous one. Ooh, all right. So there's monstrous ones out there, This is a perfect one to leave you on. Look at that outcropping, straight sun out there, beautiful mountain range, and then bam, one of the most beautiful sacred cactus you're gonna find just thriving on out there. Not a care in the world about anything else, honestly. And it looks a little dehydrated, but that's alright. The rains are coming. The rains will come for them. Thank you all so much for watching. I've been Troy from Sonoran Spores, and I hope that this helped get you some thinking about your own garden and about some of the things that you want to try to replicate. Please leave in the comments below what you've learned or what cactus species we should go over next on the iNaturalist, because I'm going to try to make this a thing. I really just like doing this myself. So I appreciate you all, and please have a good one.